Hey guys, I don't think anyone is tuning in just here at the beginning, but since I'll probably post this as a normal video as well, how's it going, everybody? Just wanted to jump on here for a little bit. Tons of new stuff to talk about, new year, new sponsor, new course I'm building, and overall just a ton of disc golf stuff going on in my life in general that's a lot of fun. I thought I'd talk about my 2023 schedule so far and what we have going on. And if you guys want to shoot over any questions, how my bag's changing, uh, what my schedule looks like, whatever you want to talk about, including non-disc golf stuff. If you want to talk about, you know, um, video games, other sports. I mainly only know about baseball, but I'll try to follow along if any of you guys have questions about anything else. But overall, having a pretty fun year so far, spending a lot of time working on my new course. It's in the Atlanta suburbs in Dallas, Georgia. Pretty cool looking, like wooded area that we have to work with. It was pretty interesting circumstance that led to me being able to build it. The associate pastor from the church I used to go to split off and started his own church, and he got this land that's like 50 acres, all wooded, mainly untouched, except for a Confederate era cemetery is on this property, which is kind of crazy. But they tapped me to put a disc golf course on it because they're not going to be able to actually build the church building for a couple years, but they wanted people to be able to be out there and start using it. So since October of last year, I've been laying it out. We're starting with 9 holes for now. Been spending a lot of my weekends out there with a chainsaw, cutting trees and getting it looking good. Hoping to have a good turnout at the tournament we're having on February 25th and 26th. Should be a really good time. I think it's going to be really fun. It's pretty interesting, like rolling hills. We have a creek that goes along the edge of 3 sides of the property, and it'll come into play on a couple holes. And it's been a fun challenge. I've never got to design a course from scratch like this before. We've done a couple tournaments with safari layouts and different things I've got to pitch in on, but it's been really interesting trying to devise a course that is friendly enough for beginner players, but also has enough of a challenge where I think anyone could come out here and you might be able to shoot really hot, but the rough is rough, and if you kick the wrong tree, could be hard to score. So it'd be interesting to see how the tournament rounds go. I'm thinking 8 to 10 down could be hot round out there. I played it through kind of estimating, so we don't have baskets and won't have baskets in the ground for a little bit, and shot 4 down with just a A2 and an NB. So I think that would be pretty realistic over 18 holes to have 8 to 10 down potentially, but it'll be fun. Thank you guys for joining in, just chatting away a little bit, talking about the new course I'm building, 2023 season. If there's any questions you want to shoot over, feel free to throw them in the chat. I'll see them pop up on the screen here. Overall, really excited for this year. I've signed up for 3 tournaments so far. The first one's going to be a flex start at North Landing, which is an interesting course locally. It's in a neighborhood HOA, which I'd only ever heard of one other course where it was part of a neighborhood's HOA, and they built it around this lake essentially. So there's a lot of there's several water carries, a lot of shots where you could turn one over and go into the water. And I haven't played there in a little while, so a little bit nervous to start the year at a course I don't play very often, but it should be a lot of fun, and it's a really big crowd. It's got, I think, 150 players in it, which for a C tier is pretty huge. But it's just a little flex start to get going. Then I'll play my tournament at the course I'm building on February 26th. So a little bit of a gap there. Give me some time to finish building the course. Should be a lot of fun doing that. And then my third one, which will be one of my bigger ones of the year, is the Sam Squatch at Etowah and Deerfield Park. If you guys are not locals, Sam Barfield has been the mastermind behind the local disc golf scene here in like Ackworth, Cartersville, Kennesaw area for several years. He was a designer of Etowah, Deerfield, and the majority of Gatewood, and really has helped a lot with getting those courses installed. He's also run the majority of the tournaments the last, I guess, 5 years in this area. And the Sam Squatch will be his last tournament before his last one that's not age protected. He does this huge Masters tournament, the Etowah Masters, every year that I think is going to be his final one, is what he's saying. But I think we're all going to miss him in the scene. I hope he still continues to play. He's in his 70s and really great, energetic guy. And I hope he continues to hang out around us, even though he's not going to do tournaments anymore. So those are the 3 tournaments I've got on my docket to start the year. Really excited for all of them, especially my first sanctioned tournament as a TD. That should be really interesting, and on a course that I built. So it's been kind of interesting. If you guys have never been involved in a club or building a course or anything before, some things are different than I expected. A whole lot of people said, "Oh yeah, let me know when you do it, and I'll help you out. I'll come out. I'll bring my chainsaw." And for every person who has said that, uh, probably 1 in 10 actually shows up day of with any kind of tools and ability to help. So uh, one dude has showed up like every time I've asked him to, and we've got a ton done together. And then last weekend, a couple other guys showed up, and we were able to get a whole lot done. So those are the real ones for sure. The people who actually turn up when they say they will. And since it's a really wooded course, we're trying to preserve the majority of the really big, nice trees. There's all these huge white oaks and big poplars. Not a ton of pine trees on this property, which is kind of cool. Mainly a big old deciduous hardwoods. So um, some tunnel shots, and there's a good amount of elevation too. So you throwing up and down hills through the woods, hitting lines, and I'm pretty excited about how it's turning out. If you guys are local at all, feel free to hit me up. The link is live on Disc Golf Scene. I actually have 2 events on back-to-back days. There is the Creekside Cold Open, which is the C tier. Have just a really chill 2 disc challenge where you're going to get 2 reptilian disc golf discs and be able to try out the course and play for medals and some prizes. We have CTPs on almost every hole with some great donors we've had. And we have a raffle for a Simon Lizotte signed Mindbender, which is pretty crazy. So really hoping that people see that and get excited. And we have a good amount of signups. Figure Mindbender alone ought to get people pretty pumped. And there's also some brand new reptilian discs we're going to have access to with some carnivores, some chameleons, and iguanas. Iguana's the brand new mid range that people haven't seen yet, just now coming out in the brand new cobalt plastic, which I'm supposed to be getting my hands on pretty soon. It looks really great in the images I've seen, but I haven't got to feel it yet. It looks like a real swirly, nice plastic. The blues and pinks are really vivid. Kind of reminds me of the Innova luster plastic. So really pumped to try those out. Looking at the profile, it kind of reminds me of like a rock, but they say it's a little less stable, like in between a worn-in rock and a comet. So should be a good like hyzer flip mid-range. I think a lot of people will like it, especially at a wooded course. See a couple more people tuning in. Appreciate that. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the box. And I'll talk about just about anything. So feel free to shoot about disc golf, course design, whatever you guys feel like. Um, kind of have been spending most of the time talking about the course I'm building, which has been a lot of fun. The one thing that I'm having a little bit of a conundrum with is T-pads. We're not entirely certain that where we've built the course right now is going to be the permanent location for it. It could move a little bit. It'll be on this property, and probably a lot of these holes will stay in place, but we don't know 100% for sure if they're going to be exactly where they are now. So we can't do anything. Like we can't do concrete yet. We can't build a frame for turf. So we're just trying to figure out the best way to do it, whether that be like pea gravel or wood chips or whatever for just the tournament weekend, and then be able to move things around. Uh, Josh asks, have your local tournaments increased and people? Mine doubled this year. Yeah, over the last 3 years, I would say both the number of events and number of people that are in them has gone up exponentially. There used to be like outside of the in-town Atlanta groups at Perkerson Park, there used to be like maybe, um, yeah, Jason, you're absolutely right. North Georgia has gotten crazy with the tournaments in Dalton, Cartersville, uh, all the ones around like Marietta, North Atlanta area over to like Decula where Little Mulberry is, even up through Lula and into Augusta. Yeah, West Side and Edwards for sure. Massive. And then the West Side Disc Golf Club down in Douglasville as well. I don't know if you meant West Side the course or West Side the club, but they're both blowing up. Yeah, they're massive right now. Especially now that Boundary Waters down in Douglasville has 3 courses on the property. I can only imagine they're going to have bigger and bigger events. You used to be able to like hold off until a couple days before registration ended to get into a tournament. You know, they'd have 72, 90 slots, whatever, and they wouldn't fill even day of. You could walk up sometimes and sign up 5, 6 years ago. Now it's like if you're not signing up in the first hour, you may not get in, especially if it's a tournament people have played before and they're excited about. Like the one at Little Mulberry, I can't remember the name of it, but it fills up like that every time. Yeah, super early. There was one, the Atlanta Championship. I think it was filled in 3.5 minutes or something like that, and it was a big field. It was almost like 150 people. So I think we have tons of COVID babies here, tons and tons of them that have gotten into the tournament scene. And a lot of players who have, like, I've seen playing for a long time are getting way more involved in tournaments too. So you have like those people that maybe played 2 or 3 tournaments a year before. And like that's kind of the boat that I was in. I played like maybe 4 or 5 tournaments, and then last 3 years I played like 15 or 20 every year. So definitely both new players coming in and then people playing way more and more tournaments. So yeah, for sure, Josh, it's blown up around here. Tournaments are filling really fast and really often, um, and just way more of them too. Like we maybe had maybe 15 or 20 from like Macon up in Atlanta area, like Macon to Chattanooga in like 2012 to 15. And there was a lot of unsanctioned play back then. Most of our tournaments in that time period, I would say half were either unsanctioned or there were a few Southern Nationals tournaments still in this area around that time. There's like no Southern National sanctioned events around here now, and they're almost all PDGA sanctioned. I don't know if that's a function of so many people needing the COIs from, yeah, I haven't had a 4-man card in a while either. Jason was just saying that he's had all 5-man cards in the last 6 months. I bet you half my tournaments have been 5-man cards as well. And then I had a 3-man card in the second round of an event because somebody dropped out with a DNF, and it was like nobody nobody had played that fast in years during a tournament. It was crazy. 3-man cards were like really common in like when I first started playing tournaments, like 2012, 2015, 16. You would have a lot of 3-man cards in tournaments and just cook through the course. You could do a tournament round in 2 hours, and I haven't had one in less than 3, and I feel like since 2020. So it's definitely blown up a ton. But you know, it's been a good thing for a lot of people. There are actually TDs making enough money to sustain having more tournaments now. There's a couple guys who, along with some other side hustles, have done it for a living around here. Some of them run like little pro shops or sell this as well, which is very cool. So that's really great that those people are able, because I used to run unsanctioned tournaments and I was basically just hoping not to lose money. Put on a fun time for everybody, get them out to the park, play some disc golf, and like try not to go negative. and these days people are actually doing pretty well. Uh, yeah, we definitely have a lot of leagues, and most of them are doing pretty well right now, especially the PDGA leagues. Me and a buddy ran one where we rotated between Etowah, Gatewood, and Deerfield, doing the three courses, and we're gonna do that again in the spring. And we didn't make a lot of profit off it. We were able to like raise some good money to make some improvements at the courses. And Sam wasn't the guy running the league, but he definitely was one of our admins and helped us get going. He ran the initial leagues there, but hasn't actually been involved in running the league in like 2 years probably. We run the Thursday league, me and Zach Andreessen, so that's a pretty fun one. And then Sam helped get, I think he might have been assistant league director on the Sunday league that Michael Schwartz and Miles Bay ran out of. That was just Deerfield. They only did Deerfield. I can't remember if he was involved in that in any official capacity, but the one that rotates, Sam actually plays a lot, but he's not an official league admin anymore. But he's an awesome dude. We love Sam. I'm super bummed out that the Sam Swatch is going to be his last non-age protected tournament that he's going to run. If you guys have never heard of Sam, I said earlier, he's kind of the mastermind of the disc golf scene around this area and puts on some of the craziest tournaments. He's got giant inflatable Sasquatches that he puts out, the wacky wavy inflatable tube men, and like giant banners around all the tournament central areas. Puts together some of the nuttiest players packs that have like really useful stuff. You know, the fold out stools. He had the extendable retrievers before those were cool, and just he does love to see us sweat. Sometimes I think he makes holes that would even be really hard for him to play at his courses just so he can watch us sweat playing them during tournaments. And he actually has a couple of unique distinctions. He's the only TD that I know of that has permanent ground rules registered with the PDGA any of his courses. At Etowah, they play lateral in on all out of bounds because it can be like really time intensive to go to some of the locations to get your disc and then rethrow from that area, unless you just go ahead and re-tee or throw a provisional and get that going. So you play it lateral from the spot that it lands, which ends up being kind of interesting. So you'll have a few holes where guys with big arms will just bomb it down there, not really caring if they go out of bounds or not, because they think they can probably um, make a par from where they're going out of bounds, or maybe even a birdie if it's one of the shorter par fours, which doesn't come up too much. That would really basically be on the long layout, which only gets played in league. So none of the big tournaments there would have that particular issue. But really interesting guy, interesting tournaments, and a whole lot of fun. I was lucky enough to film the initial fundraising event at Gatewood where they had practice baskets out there. And it was around this time last year. I think it was January. And it was like, I'm trying to think. It was low, like really low temperatures, like 18 degrees when we started. And you you could see your breath. Everyone was miserable, but there was, I think, 100 and was it -11, Jason? It was so freaking cold. I don't remember being that cold, like hardly ever. People were playing in snowsuits, giant woolly hats, but there was over 100 people out there playing a bunch of 5-man cards, and I got some of the craziest footage out there of people trying their best to make it through that course, which is not an easy course. It's always windy there by the lake. I think on hole 4, it was like lifting people's shots up over the basket pretty regularly. People were throwing like zones at it and it was still picking them up. But still, a whole lot of fun. And there's so much elevation out there. I think people were sweating and freezing and dying on the inside and maybe just dying in general. But that has ended up being a great course as it's worn in. We had the USDGC doubles qualifier there Josh is saying there's 90 people in the rain on Sunday when it was pretty cold. Yeah, that's how it goes, man. People are getting hardcore about it this day. These, now, and I don't really mind playing in the rain too much either, as long as it's not like raining sideways, really windy, or rainy and cold. It's not too bad. Um, I actually won my first tournament when it was raining, so maybe I ought to play in the rain more. It's funny too. If you guys have watched my channel for any length of time, my first video at Deerfield was like the day after it opened officially, and we had a tornado come through here, and me and a couple of my buddies were playing it. We had no idea what was going on. It literally was. We heard sirens and everything. We thought there was like someone had broken into the apartments next door or something, but it was the tornado sirens, and we're playing. It's raining sideways. The water in the course is steadily rising, and we just kept on plowing through and ended up playing everything except for hole 19 was, if you've ever been to Deerfield, there's a hole 19 has a peninsula, and around it is the OB, which usually doesn't have much water in it, but when it rains hard, it rises. And if it rains really, really hard, it'll keep flooding, keep flooding. It actually can go over where the basket is. And that first time, that's what happened. It wasn't like that when we started, but when we finished, the water was like halfway up the pole to the basket. So we just ended up playing 18 that day. But it can flood pretty quickly out there. It usually drains kind of quick, not like Etowah where if it rains half inch, then there's going to be puddles for a month. But um, overall, should be pretty good in a day or two. Gets more sun out there in most spots too. Really looking forward to that tournament out there, and then we're getting league started right after daylight savings time comes back in March, so that'll be good. Yeah, Sam Squatch is going to be at Etowah and Deerfield, so you'll play around at both places. That he's going to have a pool at each spot. He may do like he did at the Fall Salute, where he opens up, if there's enough people sign up, he opens up Gatewood for a third pool. That would be really cool, actually, and do the usually the advanced over 40 and sometimes intermediate there. Throwing the spice, yeah, I actually just did a video on the spice. Throwing it at Deerfield and then at the new Boundary Waters course. It's pretty cool. I've got one over here somewhere. It's pretty neat. It kind of reminds me of the old Innova Monster, but if it was beat in a little bit. It's not like brutal overstable, but overstable enough for most people. Backhand, I could get it like 300, 320, and forehand, I was throwing it kind of as far as I wanted to, really. It's pretty fast. Let me grab it real quick. I'll show you guys. And maybe I'm wrong. I've got a pepper, not a spice. This is different. This is the 11 one. The spice, I think, is the speed 9. This was fun, though. If you want to check out that video, it's like kind of overstable, but not crazy overstable. The spice, I keep getting these confused. Spice and pepper from the same people. But I saw Eric Oakley's video, and it looked pretty nice. It looked like a beat-in Fallon. This is pretty good, though. It's kind of weird. If you look really closely at the plastic, let's see if I can get the glare. It's almost got like these ghost dimples in the, like, it's not a dimple. It's not an actual indentation, but you can see like tiny dots all over the face of it. Yeah, kind of. It almost is a little bit, but it's different. It's not like Blizzardy where it's like gets those bubbly streaks. It must be like a function of the machine because it's got like the zipper top where it's like it's got the record rings in it, but in the concentric circles of the rings, it's got these tiny little dots. So it must be something with the tooling or whatever that they do with it. But I did see the spice on Eric Oakley's Instagram, and that one looked pretty cool. I'd like to try that one out in the near future. Got a couple of new videos I'm working on. Maybe since you guys are live, I'll let you vote on which one you want to see next. So I've got a few different discs. I've got the Prodigy PA5 is the first run that I haven't done a video on yet. That one's pretty cool. I've got the Divergent Disc Worm. I'm going to do this one in like a death battle style video against the Daredevil Ogopogo, since they're both like super floppy, overstable drivers. I've got the Thought Space Mantra. I actually started this video, but for whatever reason, every time I try to film it, it starts raining and then the camera is crappy, or I've got to cut my round short for some reason. There's always some reason that I've not been able to finish that one. And then I've not been able to decide if I want to do this video or not. I've got a cloud breaker in the bag here that I haven't broken out yet. And I'm trying to decide if I want to do a video on it, throwing it against other DD3s I've got and maybe some destroyers or whatever, or if I'm going to leave it in the bag. So, oh yeah, I saw Miss Frisbee's video on the PA5. It actually, if you look at it, the profile reminds me a lot of something like a swan, or like, that's actually really close to a swan. Almost like if you took a magnet and squished it down really flat so it didn't have that weird upper wing. Yeah, I know, Jason, discs are meant to be thrown, and I do want to throw it, but shadow color DD3, if I throw it and it stays in a shadow and I can't find it, I'm never getting it back. So that's why I've been a little bit hesitant about actually throwing it for a video yet. You guys let me know what you think about those. Yeah, that's my thought exactly, Josh. If I go out there and yeah, the Cloudbreaker 3. It's the most recent one. It's the Swedish-made one. It's not the original Cloudbreaker. You can see it there. I thought it would be cool. I've got a Euro Open DD3. I thought it would be really fun to throw it against that one, since they're both, the same disc from the Innova-made one versus the new Swedish-made one. But you guys let me know what you think if you're interested in the PA5 or the Mantra or the Worm. Also, have a few other new goodies from Reptilian coming. Hopefully those will be in next week. They have the new Nylon Blend Chameleons that I'm really excited to throw. And then the brand new mid-range, the Iguana. If any of you guys were on here earlier, I talked a little bit about that one. That's going to be one of the Players Pack discs for my tournament. I'm really excited for those. They've got this amazing looking stamp that looks really neat. And then they'll have those up on the site, I think next week or the week after. And anyone who's tuning in, if you ever want to try out any Reptilian disc golf stuff on their website, use my code MOOSE, MOOSE, and that'll get you a discount on their site all the time. Josh saying you just got an Origin. Origin's the like slightly understable mid-range, right? I think I've seen a few people throw that one, and it's like really straight, like Mako-ish flight. That's a fun one. I'm not like a crazy disc maniac, but I do like a lot of their older stuff. I used to throw the DDX and the TD2 back when I was first starting. Really nice, like roller disc, turnover driver. Yeah, MD1 is really nice. So check this out. This is the MD1 Mindbender that says, can you see it? Simon signed it right here. It's got a glare, but Simon signed this one. And that's the raffle giveaway for my tournament on the 25th and 26th. So everyone who signs up gets an entry for the Mindbender, and then you can buy extra tickets too to help raise money for permanent baskets in my course. So if you guys are local, thank you so much to my buddy for donating this. I can't kind of believe he actually is donating the signed one, but pretty exciting. And it looks more red than it is. It's like a vivid pink. I don't know why the color's not showing. perfectly, but I'm really excited for that one. I think it's going to make someone really, really happy. But should be a fun event, and yeah, definitely fluorescent. It glows really good. So if you guys, I don't know if you can see right there. I've actually got a Simon sign tilt there. Yeah, it's the lights, it's the ring light making it look funky. But really appreciate you guys coming on, hanging out a little bit tonight. I've got a couple tournaments coming up, and to get you guys playing tournaments in the early going of this year. I'll be playing the North Landing one this weekend. My tournament in February. Yeah, for sure. And then the Sam Squatch will be the first really big one of the year. So that'll be overall really fun. And if you guys ever want to see a particular disc in a video, I've got over 500 discs back here. I've only done videos on about half of them in East North Carolina. I haven't gotten to play over in that part of the country very much. I played like in Central and Western North Carolina a lot. The Stratosphere, yeah, me too. If I can get my hands on one, I'll definitely do a video on the Stratosphere. But I played like I go to High Point for the furniture market, so I play the courses around that area, like Johnson Street Park, and there's a new one up there I just played last time. Can't remember the name of it. It's like Heritage Park or something like that. But I haven't got to Eastern North Carolina yet. You have to let me know if there's any good courses I need to check out that way. And then, of course, all the ones around Charlotte, like Hornets Nest and Nevin, I try to hit up when I'm going up that direction. But have not gotten to play any tournaments there yet. I have played a couple in South Carolina at Stony Creek, or no, Stony Hill. Stony Hill. I don't know if y'all have heard of that one, but that's a like a private course. They have a couple tournaments a year out there, and they've got I think 5 layouts on that property. That's really really cool. Oh, I've seen the Down East tournament coverage on YouTube before. That course looks gorgeous. That's very cool. Looks like a really nice one to call your home course. Stony Hill, if you ever guys ever make it to like near Columbia, South Carolina, that's a great one. I think you have to call ahead with Jay Sauls is the owner, and if you link up with him, he can let you in and everything. It's really cool. Throw over a couple ponds and massive elevation changes. It's like their family farm, and they've made this tricked out disc golf course there that if it was maintained all year round, I think everybody would know about it, but they just kind of keep it up for the certain tournaments. Yeah, the Down East course at Meadowbrook looks really awesome. That's one I definitely have wanted to check out. Try it. I travel around a little bit, mostly Georgia and Tennessee and Alabama for tournaments, and I'm trying to play the one at Kudzu Cove. This at A tier this year. The timing's gonna be a little tricky, but trying to figure that one out in April. That's a 3-day A tier. And I played. There's a little C tier in Arab, which is right around the corner, really. That I've played the last couple years, but I think I want to try to step it up to the big dog. That one. That's the only one you haven't played yet. Yeah, I think that's a good one. I want to give a shot to play that one this year for sure. Yeah, I got to play it right after they put in the new pads. Or no, sorry, that's Josh. I haven't played that one yet. But they put in new pads at Kudzu Cove too. At Kudzu, yeah, they have cabins. Yeah, I've seen that. That's pretty cool. And then there's several people on the lake there who rent out houseboats and sailboats and stuff you can stay on pretty reasonable as well. I've done that before, and it's a pretty good time and really inexpensive, close by. So I'll probably check that out. Jason, you have to let me know how you liked Rainbow City. I didn't get a chance to play that one going through last time, but I would definitely would like to. Also, want to see you love it. That's awesome. I'm gonna have to drop by and check it out. There was a tournament I was looking at there late in the year last year. I didn't end up getting a chance to go, but definitely looked interesting. I'll have to try it out. Trying to see if I qualify for AmNats this time. I did last year, and I think I did again this year, but the signups went so fast I wasn't able to get in. So fingers crossed to be able to make it up to Michigan for that one this time. I've gotten to play the toboggan course one time, but it was like 5 or 6 years ago. I'd love to see how I could hold up against it now. I'm not in quite as good shape. My knee's gotten a little messed up since then, worse than it was then. But my game overall has gotten a lot better, so that would be a fun test. Another local guy. Um, oh, they have 5 different pin layouts at Rainbow City. That's really cool. That's a lot, really. There's not too many courses that have more than 2 or 3. But can't wait to try to go up to Michigan again and maybe give that course another shot. I want to try to do. Y'all remember that shot where Eagle was straddling the highway like divider thing, and he throws it up the hill? I ended up almost in that same spot when I tried it. Um, and then I had a similar shot, but I'd love to try that one now from where he was and try to straddle the railing and try it. I'm rated 945 right now. If I could have dropped one tournament last year, I'd be in the 950s, but I tried to play through one hurt like an idiot and got a couple of rounds that are like at the bottom of where they won't drop. But fingers crossed, breaking 950 in the next couple months and plowing through up into some better scores. Been working hard in my game, especially putting this off season, and always have the distance shots usually pretty dialed in. So get the rest of my game where at the level where it needs to be, and get some more of those real high rated rounds coming in. I'd like to go play Kale's course up in Minnesota as well. I've been lucky enough to work up there a little bit. Yeah, if we're easy, everyone would be doing it. Absolutely. You just got to keep grinding and see how good we can get, right? I'm not really sure what that is yet. And some courses do rate some courses rate differently depending on the day. Like Deerfield, 10 down there can range depending on like if it's our league rounds or if it's a tournament round. 10 down could be anywhere between like 970 and 1020. That's a huge swing for the same course and virtually the same conditions. So you're absolutely right. I do play a lot of league rounds where they're not rated as high as they should be because I'll be the highest rated guy there or only one guy rated over 950. So if you're going to go out there and try to shoot a hot round, you better come in really hot or it's not going to rate as good as it could during like tournament conditions. So that's definitely true. I actually had a little debate with Chuck Kennedy about that, who's one of the ratings gurus at the PGA. And basically he's like, yeah, you're kind of right, but we're doing the best we can with it. And I get that. They do have a whole lot of rated rounds on their hands these days, but I do think it should wait a little bit. One under is 1,000 at Meadowbrook. That's torching. Um, my first 1,000 rated round was at Roland Ridge, and it's almost the same. If you're even there, that's 1,000. So like those Silver Series and Pro Tour caliber courses are usually really, really difficult. But yeah, the ratings is definitely not perfect, but I feel like with as many as they're doing now, the only thing I think they should do is take into account similar conditions and everything on the same course and weight that slightly in. I don't think they do that now based on the discussion I have with Chuck, um, and just make that like part of the aggregate. So like even if the scores are kind of wonky on that day, it's not gonna throw the median too far one way or the other. But you know, they're doing a pretty good job, and for as many AMs as they have working with now, it's something like what is 120,000 amateur players that are active these days. So not doing too bad of a job. I'll cut them some slack. It's like 6 guys taking care of it, so overall pretty good. So if we're talking about courses a little bit, we talked about Meadowbrook and Rainbow City. Um, yeah, I agree, Jason. They're just about working miracles. I know they're hiring some more, but I don't know how they're keeping up with all of it with as much as they have going on. But you guys throw out what are some of y'all's favorite courses? I'll I'll do just like a quick headcanon top 10 of the ones I've played. I played 133 different courses around the country so far. I think Rolling Ridge might be my favorite in Wisconsin. If you guys ever get a chance to go up there, it's pretty awesome. It's one of the Silver Cup um, courses, and it's got beautiful rolling hills, pastoral. They've made these giant, like multi-leveled um, grains on a couple of holes carved into the side of some hills. Just everything is really, really thoughtful. The land is not like the most naturally gorgeous piece of property you've ever seen for disc golf, but it was really great. And kind of like one A is definitely Milo McIver. I was lucky enough to get to play that one 5 or 6 years ago, and that course is like the opposite. It's like completely gifted. If you could design in your head some land for disc golf, it would just be it would be Milo. And it's not maybe like immaculately maintained all year outside of the Beaver State Fling time period, but it's so pretty and pristine as far as the nature goes, and the surroundings are perfect. So I don't think too many people care. You had to play that Budweiser course in Colorado, Jason. That's pretty cool actually. I've heard of that one. What type of course is it? Is it mountainous or is it like near Denver so it's flatter? I haven't gotten to play in Colorado yet. The only times I've been there after I started playing disc golf is like mostly open. Okay. That sounds like a lot of the Denver courses where it's flatter and mostly open, but still a lot of fun, especially if they're able to manage the property well. The Florida courses, I've gotten to play some courses in Florida. If you ever do get a chance to play in Florida, especially like if you're in the Orlando area, your family's down seeing Disney or Universal or anything, Bill Frederick Park has 3 courses on the property. So my family went on like a shopping outlet mall day, and I was like, "You just drop me off there and come get me when you're done." So I ended up playing all 3 of the courses. They had Am Worlds there. I think it was 2021, 20 or 2021, and they were all 3 pretty good. The one course, the initial course, like plays along the lake a lot. You've got a couple really nice water carries, and then they have one called T2, and they call it the Turkeynator because it's Turkey Lake where the course is, and that is epic. It's those beautiful like through the palm trees Florida golf like you see on the videos, but not short. You know, you see like Bear Bite and some of these guys doing 200-foot shots on these little holes. Like it's pretty, but it's not that crazy. These are like 700 feet through those same conditions in the woods and everything. There was one where like the only guy I could see getting a birdie on this par four was Kevin Jones doing a giant, or Simon, doing giant grenade or giant spike hyzer over these trees that most of us mere mortals could not get it over. Yeah, I'm a woods player myself, Jason. That it's some of my favorites. Edwards up in Dalton, I think is amazing. West Side, the Sinks, Etowah, all those type of courses where you're carving lines, especially if you have a chance to throw some really interesting longer lines through the woods. Those are my favorites as well. Yeah, that's right. That's right. We played at Edwards, and then we haven't got to play together since then. We ran into each other at Calhoun and Etowah and a couple different places. So hopefully we get to play together sometime soon again. That was very cool. Um, I got I got a 6 shot of your buddy sinking a putt at the Gatewood thing. I can't remember his name, but it was on um, 14, the really big downhill one there. He made like a 40-footer. So Josh saying he played a lot of ball golf. Yeah, I used to play golf in college, and just the price of it got so crazy that I didn't keep up with it. And then somebody handed me a disc, that blue groove right there, and believe it or not, I'm still friends with him, even though he started me playing disc golf with a groove. And 10 years later, we still play together a lot. Yeah, so Jason, if you go on my channel, find the Gatewood video. It's almost exactly a year ago. It's like Gatewood practice play. It's like 2/3 of the way through the video. and you'll be able to see that one. I don't have the raw of it anymore, but if he wants it, it's there, and I can enable a download for you guys and get you a link. So um, you can leave. If you don't have my number, I'll figure out a way to get it to you. But it's in that video, him singing that sick putt. I think I've got one of you singing a pretty going on too, but it looked like you threw it pretty good. You might only have like a 30-footer or something. But I'm about to, yeah. Send me an email. I think my email's in the description if you don't have it already. In my channel description. So I'm about to have to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for hanging out tonight. Jason, Josh, thanks for doing a lot of comments. We're going to have to play together soon again. Jason, it's been a little while. You guys have a good one, and hopefully do this again soon. Thanks a lot.